So two things right up front. The first, I had a completely different plan for the video I was going to put up this week, but I felt like it was irresponsible of me to just ignore the elephant in the room because we're all talking about it, we're all thinking about it. We are going through a global phenomena, a pandemic. Coronavirus is on all of our minds. So I did have a video planned to talk about witchcraft and self-care, and that's not happening. Even though that is really relevant and it is something that will be really helpful for getting us through this pandemic. I just felt like I needed to just talk a little bit about coronavirus specifically. So you can look forward to that witchcraft, to witchy self-care next week when that video comes out. So number two, this video is not meant to be fear-mongering or cause you any anxiety or stress any more than you already are feeling. I know that we're all kind of like, what the heck is going on right now? And it is serious. There's a lot of tragedy that has come from the coronavirus and because of this pandemic that comes along with it. So I wanted to make this video to talk about the impact that this is having on you and on me as witches and just as people in general. We'll be talking a little bit about mindset and seeing the opportunities that are coming forward in this obstacle that we are all facing. So that's really what this video is about. Taking care of your own mindset, your own mental health, your physical, your spiritual, and your emotional health as well, and looking at things from another perspective, seeing opportunities where it may seem like hopeless. So we really can't ignore this. It's all around us. It's really amped up by the media. There's a lot of misinformation going around. So I'm not really going to be talking about the true facts of coronavirus or anything like that. There's tons of information about that, and I'll link to some really reliable sources such as WHO, the World Health Organization, because that's really where we should all be getting our information right now, is from WHO when it comes to the coronavirus. But this is part of our daily conversation. It's on a lot of our minds. So I did want to talk about it from this perspective, from the witchcraft perspective, because I felt conflicted about not talking about it at all when we're all thinking about it so much. So I'm going to be as truthful and relevant as possible to talk to you, my unique audience of people who practice witchcraft and who are interested in personal development and tackling our mindsets and all of that. I'm not a health professional, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a career coach, and so some of the advice here, might go into that area, but really you should be looking for that kind of advice from those kind of people. What I am is a witch, and I teach witchcraft, personal development, and mindset, and so that is what I would like to help you with through this video. So this is a global event, that is just a reality, and while it may be inconvenient to some people, it is life-threatening and a tragedy to others, and so I think it's really important that we keep that in perspective as we go through this video and as we go through our daily lives. And one thing to remember is that when we go through these sort of events, whether it's an economic crisis, which is also happening right now, or a healthcare crisis, which is happening right now, or a pandemic, or natural disasters, all of these different things that affect large groups of people, and in this case, the entire world. When these things start to decline or to take a tumble, we all collectively, instinctively go into this fight or flight mode, and it's just human nature. It's just our natural instincts to take care of ourselves, to take care of our loved ones, and to look out for our own interests. We get selfish and we go into this scarce place, a scarcity mindset. We start to panic. But the thing is that when you panic, when you go into this scarcity mindset, we don't make very good decisions. So we need to keep in mind that this is going to pass, but since it is here right now, what we can do is control how we react. This is not the first pandemic, and it certainly won't be the last. It's one that many of us are experiencing for the first time, and so it's definitely new territory. What you can do with this time of social isolation, which by the way is the recommended way to handle a pandemic to prevent this virus from spreading to the more vulnerable people in our population, to the elderly, and to the immunocompromised. But to remember, what we need to keep in mind is what we actually have control over. So there's some things that are disappointing, like maybe our vacations are being canceled or we're not able to do the activities that we were planning to do, but those things are out of our control. So what we can do is look at the opportunities to take ourselves out of this scarcity mindset of, oh no, I didn't get to do the thing I wanted to get out of the fear of and the anxiety of not knowing what's going to happen, of the uncertainty of what's going on, but to find a way to be abundant instead. So I want you to look for the opportunities that are coming from this obstacle. And I don't mean to be morbid, because this is clearly a tragedy. There are people dying, there are people who are very sick, there are people who don't know where they're going to get money to pay for the things they need right now. There's so much uncertainty. So I don't mean for you to delight in this reality. That's not what I mean by looking for the opportunity in the obstacle. And I don't mean to be flip about it either. I don't want to pretend like it's not happening or to gloss over it like it's not a tragedy, because it is. What I want to remind you is what you actually have control over right now, and that is how you react and what you do with the circumstances that we are in. Because this is the reality that we live in, and many of us are choosing to isolate ourselves socially. Some of us are even being forced to into this social isolation by the government or maybe just circumstances. And maybe you are lucky enough to have the ability to work from home, but maybe you aren't able to work and you aren't sure how you're even going to pay for the things that you need. So I know that there's a lot of fear that comes up from this, and it's hard to get out of that downward spiral. I myself went through this downward spiral this weekend. And when you learn that how this pandemic is affecting people around the world, or even someone close to you, maybe even yourself, it's hard to be happy. You may even feel guilty about your own health and wealth and well-being, but just remember that compassion is the feeling of empathy and putting yourself in someone else's shoes, trying to understand what they're going through and how you can love them. And you owe it to yourself and the people in your community to find the opportunity and to not give in to that scarcity. Compassion is a call to action of what can I do to add light and healing to the world? And your answer is joy. The answer to what you can do to help others is to not fall into this downward spiral and to allow your joy to lift you up and to lift up the people around you. So the worst thing that you can do is to deny yourself your happiness or to refuse to celebrate your good fortune simply because others are suffering. Because it is through your good fortune and your health and your emotional and spiritual abundance that you can love others through the pain and to heed the call to lend a helping hand in whatever way that means. So the world needs your joy and the world needs your happiness, and that's why it's important to look for ways that you can raise your vibration and get to these feelings of joy. So look for opportunities in your social isolation, because you are in control of your mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health and well-being. What can you do to maintain and improve these things? What can you do with this extra time? Maybe you want to really dig into a witchcraft topic that you've been wanting to learn because you have extra time for it, and that will improve your spiritual health. Or maybe you have been meaning to create your grimoire and you just haven't made time for it because it seems so daunting. Well, now you have time for it. You may have been thinking about starting a business and you just didn't really know where to start and you didn't feel comfortable while you had to work, or you didn't have time while you were working. So now you have this opportunity to really dig into what that means to actually start your business. You can make all those herbal concoctions that take like 6 days that you never want to do because it takes 6 days. You can give your house a good physical and energetic cleansing. You can meditate for longer than usual. You can go for a really long walk. You can begin your exercise program that you've never made time for. You can read that pile of books that is building up next to your bed. You can write the book that you've got in your mind that you haven't made the time to get out. You can learn how to cook gourmet meals. You can practice your tarot reading skills. There's all these different things that you can do to raise your own vibration, to invest in yourself and your education and your skills that you can then use to make this world better, to pass your joy on to others. And there's this ripple effect when you do that. This time is a gift, and that's what I want you to remember. You're also in control of how you support your family and friends and your larger community, the world at large. So some things that you might consider is, if you do have extra money, maybe you are able to work still during this time, can you lend money to others? Even if it's just $20 to help someone get the groceries that they need to get through this time, or to fill up their gas tank, or anything like that. If you just have a little bit extra that you can share with others, or you can offer your time. If you're able to go to the store, maybe you can offer to pick up stuff for your elderly neighbors or relatives or friends who are fearful of going out in the world right now. You can offer distance healing if you are a healer. You can support your friends and family in that way, or offer just simply words of encouragement and support. There will be long-lasting effects of this pandemic. There are deaths, there's long-term health effects, there is economic uncertainty, the financial hardships that people are going through. There's a lot that's happening that will continue to affect us in the future, even after the coronavirus has passed. So remember that this will pass. It has happened before. Humans have recovered from pandemics in the past. It won't be the last time that we encounter hardship. So to recap, make sure that you're investing in yourself, your education, your knowledge, your skills. Allow compassion to guide you and your actions and how you relate to the people around you. And you have control over your mindset. So even though 15 million pieces of information are coming at you all right now, you have control over what you take in from that information and what you allow to affect you. So my biggest piece of advice to finish this video off here is to drown out all that noise and the crazy, and to focus only on credible sources, like I mentioned before, World Health Organization and other credible sources to learn from for this specific circumstance, so that you're not trying to take in all of this other information, because there's a lot. And some of it isn't credible, some of it is misinformation or fear-mongering or inaccurate. So I just want to leave you with this. Take care of yourself, ground yourself every morning, scale up your gratitude practice, block out all of the scarcity and the fear and replace it with reminders of all of your blessings. And I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this helps you to get your perspective, to look for the opportunities in this obstacle, and to remember what's really important, to live in compassion, and to just always do your best and take control over what you actually have control over. So again, there is that video on witchy self-care coming out next week, and that will also will add to this conversation of how to take care of yourself when you're feeling stressed. So you can find that next week. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so that you can be notified when that video comes out. And I've shared some tips and some links below this video in the description for specifically how to deal with coronavirus, how to keep yourself safe. So thanks so much for watching, and I love you guys. Bye.